Welcome to the Hex Late Show. What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, everyone.
We're all going well?
All going well. We're here on a Tuesday evening in Australia. In Victoria, we are once again in lockdown. Damn it. Locked in our homes like caged animals.
Curfews, permits.
Getting worse.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep. So, to keep ourselves sane, we jump on a live stream and talk Hex. Something that's truly interesting. So, what's been going on, guys? What's been happening in the last week?
Well, for something that was supposed to be a set and forget product, we always find a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
This is true.
There's never a dull moment in the world of Hex. So, yeah, there's plenty we can cover tonight.
Yeah, we've been pumping this in the last day or so. Or it's been the last little while. Hasn't even been. Let's have a look. Just ever since
It's been on a steady climb.
Climb ever since about here, which was on the 11th. On the 11th of so from about here.
It's the wettest week.
If I can get a line, there we go. A line going. That's a pretty decent uptrend. And right now
we're 40, 45, 48% or something, I think, from sort of about there.
We're sitting on about 12 cents on the 11th of August, and now we are on the 17th. So we're almost a week, just under a week, and we've gone from 12 cents and we're sitting on just under 17 cents, just under a touch under 17 cents. So we're 12 to 7.
We're tickling 17.
That's an amazing run in the last few days.
We're teasing it, or it's teasing us.
We're fluffing it.
Yeah.
So why do you think we've paused at 17?
Because now's the time when we're streaming.
No, usually we have the Aussie pump when we get on. It's been pretty consistent the last few sessions. So
was it 2 weeks ago? It was 2 weeks ago on stream. We went to 10 cents.
Yeah.
Last week we had come down to 15 cents or something like that. This week we're up just under 17 cents. We're doing pretty well as far as a talk show.
We're consistent.
Hey, but Hex has been going amazing, really. I mean, we're looking very, very closely here. If we go back and have a closer look at the chart for at least from the start of this year, we can see a very clear trend, and there are ups and downs. There is volatility along the way, but if we take from January 2021, where we're sitting at around a cent here, and we did wick up to close to 2 cents there, but the majority of what was going on was around 1 to 1.3, and then we did drop down again to what was that? Just like maybe 60, 67 to 70% of 1 cent, 1 US cent, and then we came back up, and then we haven't been down to that point since.
If only you had a time machine, hey?
Hey, I don't know about you guys, but I was buying. Still am,
yeah. And that's we touched on this last week, and that's the beauty about the way this works is there's no bad time to get in. And Bluey said this a few times. It's more about how much time you spend in Hex, because it goes up and to the right, and it's consistently delivering on short stakes 12% APY. There's not too many financial instruments out there that do that, so the demand for something like that is going to be consistent. So it doesn't matter when you get in, if it's getting those sorts of yields and prices, even if the price is staying level, it's happy days. But the reality is that's a short stake. Yeah, that's right.
It's a short stake. So you said 12%. 12% is like your bare minimum, really. And
Yep.
if
So monthly stakes pulling 1% a month.
Yep.
So,
Yep,
what do you think will happen? So, like, guys, after the fork, and let's say P hex, the share rate goes up, so it's more expensive to get T shares and then B shares or whatever on Pulse Hex because there's so many more bigger stakes on shorter time frames, so that ratchets up the share rate. Like, if you were looking at Hex for the first time and you saw one price which is really high with a really high share rate, and then over on the other chain, it was not as good transaction speed, but it's a cheaper Hex and it's a better share rate. Like, which one do you go for? Do you reckon like people will kind of like eat up the cheaper one?
I think it'll be done a lot on yield. As like if you can get a higher yield somewhere, why wouldn't you jump on it? If you're investing the same amount of dollars but you're getting a higher yield, that makes sense to me. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Now, obviously, you don't know how that's over a short time frame. You don't know how that plays out over the longer time frame, and that's why we've been saying. I think anyone that thinks they're just going to ditch their e-hex and go long on the Pulse side, you might live to regret that. I think so. This is a long game,
and you don't have to play that game to its full extent. Like you could you could sell off a little bit of your e-hex straight after the fork, just in case you thought it was.
I won't be doing that.
You won't be doing that, yeah. And or what you could do is you could just stake whatever you've got long, and then you don't care about those price changes so much because.
Do you think we'll
Hex
see
is
P-hex? Like a few people. Do you think we'll see cheap P-hex?
No. My guess. No, I think it'll start at the same price and we'll go up from there.
There might be a split second where there's some opportunity there, but I think that will be very quickly
snapped up very quickly.
The only way I think that could happen is if there's people at the moment who want more Pulse or didn't get into the sacrifice set for Pulse, and if they do want Pulse right at the moment, the best way for them to get Pulse is to buy Hex and then dump the P Hex for Pulse after the fall.
Yep.
So maybe there's a whole lot of people like that who will dump down the P Hex price. It's going to be very interesting to see the interplay between Pulse and P Hex.
And I don't think we're going to.
The Pulse ETH pair is very interesting.
I don't think we're going to see cheap P Hex. I think if it's in my opinion, it's going to look a little bit like the post big payday picture, where you had this thing that was quite low and it just got bought up very very quickly.
Just like a V shape, or even we've seen it the other day. We don't have V shaped recoveries in Hex. We have needle shaped recoveries.
Yeah, you got to be quick.
Down and bang straight back up.
Yeah. It's
like
a
slippage.
People, you need to set a very high slippage. If you're planning on that, set a high slippage. Because they just won't go through.
Have you guys been finding the new EIP 1559 transactions? I haven't really understood how to play around with the tipping or how to adjust the base.
Yeah, but you don't really have they got a tip setting in MetaMask? I haven't.
No, I don't think so.
So I think the base fee. So when you look at the fees on the gas tracker, it just has the base fee, and then sort of a tip fee above that. And I don't know that the only way you set the tip fee is just by putting more GUI in there. You don't actually, from what I've seen, you don't actually have to select an extra tip. I think that's in MetaMask. I was using that the last couple of days and I hadn't noticed that. So I don't reckon it's made bugger all difference, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't see what difference it's made either. Like, as soon as the gas fees went through the roof, and now it's kind of like they're not great, but they're kind of
I was
catch them at a low point.
I was at least hoping for consistent transaction times, and that doesn't even exist either. Like you're still getting blown out waiting for transactions. So that base fee, all it does is make, I guess, the wallets more predictable in terms of what price they show people for the current cost to get a transaction through. But I don't think it's a bit of a furphy, to be honest. Like I haven't noticed anything.
Yeah.
And I don't. This could be me. This could be total speculation as well. But would have it been in anyone's interest to flood the network to make the burning appear more rapid, and to give everyone the impression that this is going to burn a lot quicker than what it actually is? Would have anyone bothered to spam the network to get that burn rate up, or is that just absolute waste of money? There's no.
Who knows what the miners?
I don't know enough about it to be able to comment. To be honest with you, it's an interesting idea. I would love to ask, someone who has that knowledge. Yeah,
because I don't know how big the cost would be to flood that, and because it's the burning thing only really has a massive effect when you get above, I think it's 250 gwei per transaction, that it actually starts to have a deflationary impact on ETH. Other than that, you're just chipping a little bit off the top of the inflation, but not much.
I haven't understood the interplay between the burning and inflation either. Like, I don't understand, and how that gets decided, or...
No. So inflation always runs at, 4.8% or something on the network. So you have to be burning enough in fees to outpace that inflation for ETH to become deflationary.
Sure.
So the only way you can outpace inflation is have full blocks that are charging enough fees to be able to make it deflationary. So it's there's a lot of build up for it, and honestly,
but it's also it's not so clear how the mechanics work, and I think you need that clear narrative for people. I don't
think it's that hard though. You've got a base fee, and then everything above the base fee gets burnt. Hang on, sorry, other way around. The miners get the tip, don't they? Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
Burnt.
The base fee gets burnt, does it?
Yeah, I did have a good article up. I think it was the base fee that gets burnt, and the miners get the tip.
And then what? And so inflation for Ethereum is just 4.8 cents. Like, how is that decided for that 4.8%? Is that just it's always been?
That's just always been there. Yeah. So that's why it doesn't have a cap supply. That's just consistent.
And it's always 4.8% per year. That's a lot.
Don't quote me on the 4.8, but I think it is 4 point something. Yeah, it could be 4.3 but I think it's 4.8. Yeah.
So that's more than Hex.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually much more than Hex, because Hex kicks the inflation can down the road a long way.
Well, that's the other thing that Hex does, yeah. But like, just on in terms of it being an inflationary like coin, I mean, I guess now they've got burning. And,
Yep.
But there's been some ridiculous gas fees, I mean, I've seen people posting ridiculous gas fees. I haven't had to use it at all, but I've got a stake ending in a couple of days. I'm going to have to use it.
I mean, you got people saying now it cost me, it cost $50 for a sell on Uniswap.
I ended a 400-day stake just a couple of days ago, and it cost me $70. And
a 400-day stake, did you say?
Yeah, and I waited for I waited for the gas price to be like, I think I ended up putting it through for 22. Like, I really waited for a good time, and so that was
honestly, I mean, depending on the size of the stake, that's not terrible at the moment. But obviously, I've got people that are just coming into Hex, and literally, it's hard to advise them to stake, because obviously the price of Hex has gone up significantly. So to come in with
for me, it was fine. It was like 10,000. It was only a 10,000 Hex stake, And I looked back, and so it only would have been $30 at the time, and now it's worth over two, three.
So at the moment, advising people to do short stakes or small stakes on ETH is not tenable, really.
Yeah. What would you say? Minimum 6 months?
So I sort of reckon the in and out fee for a short term stake. So let's say anything's sort of 3 to 6 months. You're probably looking at the best part of $50, I reckon, to get in and out. Because you're talking maybe $14, $15 in, maybe $30 odd out, I would imagine. So
you still could do a 3 monther if you gave it a nice big amount and make it worthwhile.
So maybe, I don't know if you want to bring up this tool, Day 43, the HexCalc, hexcalc.net.
That's a great link.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I was teaching people how to calculate their T shares and times it by the price and all that sort of stuff. This tool's just
I'll bring that up. Just
bring it up because it is a really good tool.
While I bring it up, let me just give a shout out to the guys in the chat, or the guys and the girls in the chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate every single one of you, and we appreciate your comments. There's one here, just as I bring that up, there's one here. What do you guys think about this? I spoke with 2 people today who have invested in crypto for 3 years and have never heard of Hex or Pulse. Imagine when the mainstream does hear about it. And that's from
it still shocks me that people haven't, but I guess we probably spend more time in the world of crypto than most people do, I would imagine. Do you think that'd be true? How many hours a day do you have your head in crypto?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh, I think a lot of people. This doesn't surprise me at all.
I spent a few hours today.
Just
a few. I'm pretty much full time, so my whole.
And if they're still looking on CoinMarketCap, or they're just keeping their crypto on exchanges mainly. I mean, I just realized a few weeks ago that there's all these OG cryptocurrency people that have never used MetaMask.
It's really surprising. Well, I think you told that story last time where you went and presented at a meetup.
Yeah.
And these are guys that have been in the space for a while. And I've got another friend who's in the world of Cardano, and he thinks Hex is too hard to buy. So that's someone that's been in the space and used crypto and used wallets and things like that. So
I've heard that a lot, Jex, and I reckon, as time progresses, it'd be good if we could get an easier on-ramp for people.
Yeah, that'll come with time, and I think the boys at Staker are doing a great job. That is still a very easy entry for people. Unfortunately, there's still a bit of friction there with the getting from fiat into Hex, and that's where all the fees come in, because you've still got to buy ETH, got to send that across. So once we can get that, if we can remove one of those steps, so get rid of the need to buy ETH,
if Richard gets his exchange license, that could open up a whole new world, that magic carpet ride.
Yeah, or even like an on-ramp into Pulse, and if Staker's using Pulse, then that will obviously reduce a lot of the fees as well. I just want to go back on Stephen's point, because he's put a comment in chat saying, great point, Hex is too hard for people to buy. I don't think it's that hard to buy. I honestly don't. Like, I think there is friction there. Hard. Yeah, there's friction there, but that's right. There's different. And I've got guys that are coming in, literally no crypto experience really at all, and within a day or so, they're up and running, and they've got to jump through all the hoops of doing all the KYC stuff on exchanges and things like that. But that's normal.
I think it's like this by design, though. I think it's like this by design. So when we listen to what Richard has to say, he's constantly talking. Richard Hart, the creator of Hex, he's very, and correct me if I'm mistaken here, but he comes across as very much of the opinion that having things that can just function without middlemen is better, right? Mm-hmm. We're getting more efficient, less reliance on counterparties. So by people learning to, even if right now they have to get their ETH, by learning how to custody that yourself, send it to your own
It's not a
wallet,
bad
send
thing.
it to a MetaMask, and then learning how to go to use an automated market maker like Uniswap and swap it over for Hex yourself, without a counterparty, without an exchange. That they're learning about what crypto's really supposed to be about. So I think that maybe it is by design. It's good if we've got. It's going to be great for the price if we've got like exchange, on ramping for sure, absolutely. But it's also great that almost every hexagon goes and does this stuff by themselves and probably has a better idea of what a decentralized market is supposed to look like than almost everyone else in every other coin out there. So yeah.
Yep, I totally agree. I reckon it's a blessing in disguise. So the fact that we haven't got on so many mainstream exchanges has actually proven how resilient Hex is as a product. We've had to route around a lot of this gatekeeping, and it's shown that Hex doesn't need any of that. It doesn't need any of that to survive. The only chink in the armor at the moment is the need to go through ETH, because that's the only real thing we need. But hey, you run on Ethereum anyway, so you need to have ETH in your wallet. So it's not it's not a big issue.
So I'll bring up Hex Calc now. You can tell us what this is about.
But even in the comments, someone has written that a lot of Aussies don't want to buy Hex because they can't use CoinSpot. And Jex, you're a very smart man. I know you, and I've spoken to you a few times. But for the average Joe, there is a lot of people that have that same mentality. That it's too complicated, too complex.
Yeah. But that's the opportunity at the moment.
Exactly.
You can buy it now or buy it at $10. You choose.
Exactly.
Hey, look, a lot of people used to say that about using like an FPOS card, Like older people used to say that about using an FPOS card, going there and having to remember a bloody PIN to pay for things. I just want to pay for out of my pocket with cash. Turns out paying out of your pocket with cash was the right way to go anyway. But as you know, because at least you retain some privacy when you're paying cash. But when it comes to this, is the same stuff. It's not that hard. It is really not that hard. It really is not that hard. So let's not make it out as if anyone who's saying that it's too difficult to do. It's a 20-minute once they learn how to do that, it opens the door to so many more things in crypto.
For sure.
In DeFi.
Yeah. So maybe if we just have a look at the Hex calc, because this is, I think if you're trying to determine whether you should do a stake and you're worried about the fees side of things, this is a good indication of how much the fees may actually be. So let's do a 30-day stake, and when we do calculate, it'll show you how much that 1,000 hex cost initially. So up the top there, it cost us $168, and then down below it'll show a projected earnings, and it can only do projected because we don't know what the price of hex is going to be at the end. So that's it. So
we don't know what the daily payout's going to be precisely.
Yeah, we can. That's right.
We can estimate it's probably going to be between 5.7 and 6, somewhere in that range, most likely.
So I would assume this is taking the current payout rate and just using that as a base figure, which would be pretty reasonable to assume.
Yeah.
So in this instance, your 1,000 hex will only generate you $1.63. So obviously that's not tenable to do on the Ethereum network. On the Pulse network, it may be.
Yeah. Let's try 365 days and see if that makes a difference for 1,000 hex. Okay.
So now you're getting $23. So even still, that's not brilliant on ETH.
So let's pump it up a little bit, like the to about 5,000. 5,000 for we'll leave it at 365.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's looking a little bit better. Now this is the clincher though. So at the moment you sit there and you go, okay, well, that should outpace fees, you would think. Now, obviously, the price of Ethereum goes up against the US dollar, so there's a few things we can't know in advance. But the thing we haven't anticipated here is, do you think the price of HEX is going to move in a year? And by how much would you estimate? So this is where you start doing back of a napkin sort of stuff, and you've got to take a little bit of a guess at where you think the price of HEX could be in 12 months' time.
I think a really good approach to take when it comes to this is absolutely think of it like a CD, like a term deposit. So you probably wouldn't throw, I mean, as an adult, maybe as a kid you would, but as an adult, you probably would never have thrown $800 into a term deposit.
I think they're minimum like $5,000 or something, aren't they?
Yeah, you'd probably throw something like a couple of grand in if you were going to do it. So let's just pump it up to 10,000 X, and your minimum would probably be a year. I mean,
you would think. Yeah.
You probably wouldn't do.
That's what I've been telling people. I've been saying 10,000 Hex for a year minimum.
So what have we got now? So now we've got your principal is 1,690. This is US dollars, and then you're getting some interest. You're getting 233. So
that's what you get if the price doesn't move.
That's what you get if the price doesn't move, and that's what we need to assess here. I think
you've got to go baseline. Things can always go backwards as well. So,
but we've got
to put that in.
I think it's worth looking at the difference between that and maybe a 5-year, because or maybe even a 3-year, So we'll take 365 times 3. So it's 1,095, and let's just see what a 3-year stake does for us. So a 3-year stake, based on it being exactly the same price, okay, which is, we have to say it's unlikely. It's probably going to move around,
Yeah, there's one other final thing I want to show you, but finish your point. Yeah.
It's 1,609 is your principal, and after 3 years, based on that price, as long as the price is the same when you're unstaking, it would be $971 roughly. So that's that would be pretty good, wouldn't it?
Okay, can you scroll up a little bit more? Oh, sorry, scroll down a little bit more. Okay, so this total payout, the ROI and that APY, I think this is pretty important. So at the moment, you've got the HEX column and you've got the USD value. So they're going to be similar because we've assumed no price appreciation on the US dollar side. So when you have a look at the ROI and the APY, so on average on the HEX side, you're getting about 19% per annum. Down a bit lower, mate, on the percentages. Yep. So you're getting about, so this is what I was saying before, as a financial product, if you can return 19% for 3 years per year, that's a phenomenal investment tool in its own right. So that's assuming no price appreciation at all. There's not too many things I know out there that you can chuck your money in and reliably get, by the code's definition, 19% APY. Yeah.
And we are talking in terms of
HEX.
We're talking the interest is paid. You stake HEX. That's what you're committing. You commit the HEX, and then the contract pays you your principal and interest back in HEX as long as you complete your end of the.
Okay. All right. So scroll down again, and let's change our price prediction, and let's be pretty conservative. So in 3 years' time, what's a conservative figure you think HEX could get to?
60 cents.
Yeah,
let's put it out to the chat. What do you guys reckon?
Okay.
What do you think?
Chat conservatively.
Conservative in 3 years' time.
No moon figures. Let's be. We're trying to educate people coming in.
3 years? Did you say?
Yeah, 3 years. Come on, chat. Let's fire those answers in.
Okay, we've got and we'll take the conservative. Here I've got we've got Abracadabra with 50 cents. I think that's a good conservative.
Yep. So that's probably on the lower side of all the estimates that are coming in.
Yep. That is the lowest. That is the lowest.
Yep.
I'll be very surprised if it's 50 cents.
I'll be surprised if it's not at 50 cents in a couple of weeks.
Someone put in 1 cent. So yeah, we're laughing because Anyway, 50 cents. Yeah, so I should put 50 cents in here.
Yeah, put it in there. Let's be ultra conservative. So now have a look at your APY for those 3 years. So under the USD value. Next column along. 100. You show me a financial instrument that can get you that sort of return. It's crazy. And that's being pretty conservative.
That's yearly.
That's yearly, yeah. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Hey, should we move on to the next thing, or you want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's a good tool. It helps people sort of determine, minimum stakes and fees that they'll have to sort of get in front of. But yeah, knock yourself out and do all the moon mash you like on that.
Okay, so So we've got a bit of alpha here. On the channel. This is just let's just show it, shall we? This is a very, very small clip, guys, from a Richard Hart's last stream. Do you want to show it?
Yeah, just give me 1 second, mate. If you can just introduce it.
I'm just
setting it up.
Yeah. So basically, we just want to show this very, very small clip from when Richard was asking questions, and then we're going to show a tweet that happened a couple of days after that, and then I don't want to reveal it. So let's if we play it, and then we can we can chat about it.
Is Binance Smart Chain tokens also included in the Pulse snapshot? No.
Thinking.
Give me a second. I want to make a note.
So let's just.
It's probably too much complexity, but.
Do you want me to stop it?
Let's show it again. So if people didn't get, I just want to make sure people got the what question he was answering at the start. So at the very start, and we can play it again because it's actually a nice little kind of moment, isn't it? So.
Okay, hang on. Give me a second.
Okay. So the question he's asking at the start is, will the Binance Smart Chain be included in the airdrop? Right. So
so let's let's watch the quick maths that Richard is
watch
doing
his mind. Watch the cogs in his mind moving.
Is Binance Smart Chain tokens also included in the Pulse snapshot? No.
Just as a side note, I'll pause that for a second. When I was grabbing this, I was actually looking for who actually said it in the chat, who asked the question. I was going to give him props for asking that question, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, because he's out of kilter with the question.
Exactly.
Give me a second. I want to make a note. It's probably too much complexity, but.
So then, like a couple of days later, we had. Do you want to show the tweet from him?
Well, this is basically what the tweet said.
Okay, well, just read out the tweet quickly, just because that's just to set the context.
I haven't even. Hang on, I'll need to bring that up. Just 1 second. You had the tweet in.
Oh, hang on.
Sammy, why did you?
It's basically just like
Sammy posted so many like manga chicks in our chat.
We'll just go into our chat. Just you and me, OG43 in our. In our
That's right. I'm looking in the wrong chat here. Where are we? There we go. Oh, yeah. I can't bring it up on screen.
Can't you? Maybe I can. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, anyway.
No,
he basically,
So
the tweet is basically Richard advertising for someone, for a Golang developer, and he's offering it for $170,000 a year.
I'll read it out. I'll read out the tweet.
Yeah.
Are you good at Golang? Want to make $175,000 a year? Speak good English? I want to hire you. Remote, blockchain software, all sucks. We're making it suck less. And if Geth fork to start, and it's got the gitlab.com PulseChain repository, and then porting to.
So he's advertised for a job. And then he's got, this is what you'll do in the job. And MVP is minimal viable product. So he's got those 5 tenets of what he needs to go live with PulseChain. This is what needs to be completed in order to go live. Yeah.
So he needs testnet, go.hex.com working with phex in progress, a bridge, ETH, large ERC20s, a Uniswap version 2 front end for PulseChain. We have this at ethhex.com already. We can rename a copy, and a block explorer,
and straight after the minimal viable products, the first cab off the rank is trading a Pancake Swap fork. So Pancake Swap obviously is on Binance Smart Chain. Fork of Uniswap with LP rewards in uppercase, insanely important LP rewards for ERC20, PRC20 pairs. So, my conjecture...
That seems like pretty important to be insanely important, hey?
My conjecture is that not only is this going to be... if he hires a developer and this is possible to do and all of that kind of stuff, it looks like what he's thinking of doing is not only forking the whole Ethereum state and all the ERC20s, but also forking everything on the Binance chain and all the whatever they're called, the BP whatever's 20s or whatever. And so, and then I was thinking he could fork ETH, and then at a later stage, he could copy the whole of the Binance chain onto Pulse as well.
Could you do that though? 2 separate chains. I don't think you could merge them.
No, because you just copy.
That's exactly what he was. Hang on, that's exactly what he was trying to calculate at that moment. You know, so whether or not it's
probably a lot of stuff.
We don't know.
There's probably a lot of stuff, but also notice how the Pancake swap fork is going to have LP rewards for the ERC20, PRC20 pairs. What is he thinking? What is going on?
I tell you because you need to make it you need to have a reason for people to want to keep their stuff there, right?
Yes,
and offering rewards that makes absolute sense. It makes 100%.
And well, he did throw out the idea of actually creating new PRC20s to give as LP rewards. Remember when we were all discussing it in the Pulse group, whatever.
So and governance sort of tokens.
And then he decided against that. But something tells me he's got another idea now.
Yeah, there's something brewing, and I'm sure he'll he's gotten rid of the governance tokens for a reason, I think. And yeah, look, to be honest, the longevity on those sorts of things, who knows where that's going to end up, because they're a dime a dozen now. Every project's got them, and yeah.
Has anyone used the Pancake? Does anyone know about the Pancake swap? Like where where their liquidity rewards come from?
Well, I think most of those things come from the introduction of governance type tokens, or having some token that gets put in the pool, like same as Matic and QuickSwap.
Yeah.
So you need something to reward people with, and that something hopefully gets value.
But Uni didn't have that, but Pancake did.
So Uni, obviously you can be a liquidity provider, but then you can't yield farm it. And you've got to take those LP tokens elsewhere to yield farm them.
No, you don't get any yield. You don't get any LP rewards through Uniswap.
No, that's what I'm saying. You get given LP tokens.
No, but the LP rewards is like the mining. That's extra rewards that have to come from somewhere else to be given to those pools.
Correct.
Hey?
Yeah. So you put it, you deposit both sides of you deposit both sides of your liquidity. You get given a Uniswap LP token that represents that liquidity, and then most people would take that and push that into something else, lock it up, and get given
even more
rewards. Yeah. In whatever token.
I think this comment is spot on.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's it.
It makes sense. Totally. And look, these are compatible. They're compatible. They're EVM chains, so there is definitely compatibility there. Now, whether or not you can do that,
you want people that are going to chase the rewards. That's what will bring.
PancakeSwap is all the degens. PancakeSwap is just all the full degens who don't mind going to a centralized.
It's actually the interfaces looks pretty good. I don't know if you've ever been and checked it out.
No, but I've checked out some of the AVAX ones, and they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So get something like that up and running, and that's what people don't give a shit about the chain or the technology. If they can see massive gains, they will come across and use it.
That's it. And once they start trading on it, the user interface.
If they're going to get, if they get a copy of PRC20s for what they had on their chain, that's what's going to make them come and have a look. And then if they can actually commit that to a liquidity pool and, get some sort of reward for it, it's like, free stuff on top of free stuff. So
and they'll stay and they'll interact on it. They'll use Pulse and they'll dump some of it for Pulse, and you know what I mean. And then they'll be over there doing stuff.
Hey, Bluey, what do you think of this comment, mate?
Yeah, man.
I think I agree with Bree, 100%. I would like to see you in a top hat, please. Please.
You want to say a bit more stylized, a bit more stylish?
I'd like to see you in a top hat, bro.
You're dapper.
Yes.
Can we do Bree's moon maths that she put in the chat? She wanted to take it up to $300 instead of the measly 50 cents or 60 cents we done.
Yeah. So what have we got at 10,000 hex for 3 years, and it's $300 at the end of it.
Hang on, do I have to bring that back up?
Yeah, if you can.
I think I deleted it. Hang on. What was it again? Hexcalc.
Hexcalc.net.
Bree said you got to be realistic.
You got to be realistic.
She's right.
You want a range. You want your range. You want to see what the possibilities are as well as the other possibility.
Okay. Is that up? Yep. Okay. So what was our stake amount?
So we had 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is affordable for most people, I think, to get a 10,000 hex stake.
Yep. And we said for 3 years, which is 1,095. And then what was it?
Apparently 300 is the prediction, so let's go with it.
300.
$300.
$300? Okay, let's do it. What the fuck?
So the APY of 93,000, is it?
93,000%
per annum.
So that would be $4.7 million. Okay, let's
So somewhere between there and $900.
yeah. Okay. I'm glad we did that.
It doesn't work. The cap can work when you put a higher price.
No, put it up. No, I think it was correct. Try it again.
Right.
So the starting figure up the top is correct. It's 1,068. Oh, sorry, 1,688.
Oh, right, yeah.
Current US value.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to go, isn't it? 3-year stakes.
So that's only 16 T shares. Oh, hang on. No, my gosh. That's not even one T share.
It's not even one T share. Yeah. It's 0.86 of a T share. That's 868 billion shares.
Yeah.
868 billion, not even one T share. It's 868 billion shares.
So that is still very T, and that's on a. Okay, let's just, for people that don't understand T shares, without going into all the detail, just crank that up to 10 years on your timeline, just so we can see that the T shares actually increase. Just for the purposes of explaining, you can put in less money and get more T shares. So time is the thing that is your friend in Hex, and if you are lacking on the dollar side in terms of how much you can invest, you can still play the game by delaying your gratification and stretching it out further. And so now let's go have a look at that figure now. That'll be crazy now. It'll be insane.
Yep, 15 mil.
Yeah. So
just to explain to people, like if you put in 1 day, right, and you calculate it, you're going to get 0.542. If you put in 10 years, you're effectively going to get 3 times that T share, the number of shares. Okay, so I'm going to put 3641, which is 10 years, and calculate, and that's 16.25. So that's 3x that 0.54 or whatever that was there. So you get, like, the longer you stake, the more you get, like, a better interest rate, because that's effectively like an interest rate, or not an interest rate, but that is what determines, like, how much you're going to be getting on a daily. Yeah, that's your money. That's how big your bag is of, like, for collecting Hex every day, right? If you stake shorter time, your bag is a bit smaller. But if you stake longer, just for the same amount of Hex, your bag that you're collecting Hex with every day is bigger.
It's like standing under the shower, and you can either put a glass under the shower and catch a bit of water, or you can put a bucket under there and catch a bit more water.
That's a great way to think of it.
So while we've gone in depth a fair way about. Well, perhaps
this is a good comment there by Cabana Crypto that perhaps it's a reason as to why testnet has been delayed.
No
because
4 weeks.
Because he might want to, like.
They might be playing around with this. They might be playing around with it, you know. So I think, honestly, these things have not been done, right? So they're the ones who are doing it. So they might just be throwing it around, seeing if they can do it, you know, and that might take a little bit extra time. I, for one, am happy to wait the extra time if they can do stuff that's going to make it, like, have a better network effect. That's just better.
What were the other things on the list? Let's just go through the other things that, like, because that little sheet was his kind of master plan of, you know, what he's going to do to crypto.
So when did he announce? Did he announce on stream that it's going to be delayed, the testnet?
No. I think he's just put a timeline of sort of 1 to 2 months or something, wasn't it?
I think we just know the deal when it comes to
this. The 4 more weeks.
It always takes longer, doesn't it? Yeah.
Look, the difference between the Hex launch, which was So the going joke was 4 more weeks, and that rolled out for like 2 years or something for Hex to get finished. But we've got a Hex that's working. Yeah, now that we've got a few issues with fees on ETH, but in essence, you can still buy Hex, and it's still going up in value. There's still people staking, price pressure's going up. So it's not like we're sitting here and we haven't got a working product that we can use. Yeah, there's gonna be some awesome improvements come through when we get on the PulseChain, but Hex is still doing its thing. And if you sit back and sit on your hands and just say, "Oh, I'm waiting for PulseChain to launch before I get busy," I think you're going to miss some opportunity.
So, what did you want to look at, Blue Bum? So we read the first 5. Was there anything in particular you wanted to see, like a bit further down here?
Yeah, let's just read through them. So we've got coin. Oh, you go for it, mate.
Electron app for cross-platform. Electron app. What's Electron app?
So Electron's a wallet.
Electrum is a big
Electrum with an M on the end.
Not Electron.
Electron. It maybe the MetaMask replacement is called Electron.
Interesting.
Uniswap, but across chains. That would be pretty big thing to do.
That'd be massive.
Yeah. More
bridges to start, then BTC, BNB, BCH in that order.
Mm-hmm.
Network, PulseChain, port to Aragon for Geth.
Okay. I don't know enough about that to comment.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Geth. So they want to use something else besides Geth. Interesting.
Hey, do you like my hat? See my
Pulse hat?
Yeah, it's a Pulse beanie. Can you see it? I made a Pulse.
You made it yourself, did you?
Oh no, I got it made, but it only cost me $10. I got 2.
I've got to find a good place to get all the merch from. I'm not sure where everyone's getting it.
Well, I got this T-shirt made at Vistaprint, for like $20. So I made 2, and I made a singlet as well, which was a bit more expensive. I think the singlet was like $26. So they're really good for us here in Australia. And this one was a New Zealand company. So I got 3 beanies sent to my address for like $35 Australian. Like
that's cheap as.
Really cheap. It's pretty cool.
I've got to get some Pulse stuff. I'm still on the Hex stuff. I need to get some Pulse stuff.
And if you didn't see my tweet today, I'm looking for a good name for an under-13 girls T-ball team that are going to get sponsored by Hex. So if you're in chat there and you've got some good names, the best one so far, I think the winner at the moment is the Hex Hurricanes, but open to other suggestions.
I like Diamond Hands.
Diamond Hands, that was pretty good as well. Yeah.
What about the Ball Smashers?
Maybe the Hex Diamonds or something like that, or I don't know.
The Hex Diamonds.
But Diamond Hands is good, and it's good for a kind of
because you got to catch it's a big catching game. So Diamond Hands.
Yeah, and your team just gets known for just never dropping a pack.
So if you're in chat and you're pretty creative like that, chuck them out there.
So you're gonna make them like uniforms. You're gonna make.
Yeah, I've got to get uniforms done soon. Our season starts pretty soon, so I've got to get the name right, and then I can design the uniform for it.
Have you decided on whether it's Hex or Pulse?
I'll be Hex, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So we've covered a fair bit of ground on, we've gone into the nitty gritty on Pulse and things like that at the moment.
Electron is an app wallet too. I used it with BCH. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Archie. Thanks for clarifying.
So I just wanted to take a step back because there is a lot of new people coming in to Hex, and they probably haven't got a bit of the history. So we've probably jumped a few steps ahead, and we're talking about all the benefits of Pulse and what we're going to do on it and build it all out. It's a kids team, not Pulse. Yeah, I'll have to explain that one. So I thought it'd be worth just taking a step back and for people that are new to Hex and don't understand the reason why there's all this talk about Pulse. So they hear about Hex and we say how great it is, and it's a fantastic product. But at the moment we've got a bit of we're getting the reins pulled on us a little bit just because of the ecosystem we're running on, which is the Ethereum platform. And Ether's it's a fantastic network. It has what it's done for decentralized finance and for the crypto space is absolutely awesome. You can't take it away from it, but it's a victim of its own success. And the network's just getting too busy. And when it gets busy, it gets expensive. And the price of Ethereum keeps going up in value. So that compounds the expense because you pay every time you transact on the network, you need to pay in Ethereum. But if the price of Ethereum is going up as well, you get a double whammy. And so Hex running on ETH is now still runs okay, but like you've heard us mention, it's just expensive. So in order to fix that, Richard Hart, who created Hex, is launching PulseChain. So it's a copy of Ethereum, but a few things are being tweaked to get those fees right down again, make it sense to transact instead of tens of dollars to do similar sort of transactions. So that's sort of where this is all going. And what that means for Hex is it benefits where you'll have a lot more flexibility. It'll be cheap to run. It means it opens up the gates for smaller investors that just want to dip their toe in the water, or even kids or anything like that that want to use it as a little bit of a savings plan. They can come in and put a bit of pocket money in and it'll actually be able to work. Whereas at the moment, Ethereum's a bit of it's a rich man's sport at the moment, just because the fees are so expensive. So this move, sorry, you go.
I was just going to finish off your point. I think this is a good thing though. This one, the Hex, I like Hex Hitman, but you could say the Hex Hit Ladies.
Hex Ladies, yeah, I like that.
The Hex Hit Ladies. They're hitting the ball. It's
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
T-ball,
I like that one. So this moving, so Hex is still going to remain on ETH, and it's still going to be a working product there, and that will never go away. It's immutable. It can't stop. But we'll have a second version on Pulse. So any Hex you currently own or have staked will get duplicated on Pulse. So that's a big win. But then it'll also be really cheap, almost not free, but very cheap to run your transactions, like cents to do things. And then, so that opens up a whole world of adoption for new players to come into Hex and participate on the Pulse ecosystem. So that's why you hear us talking about Pulse and why we're having these conversations. Is it's still in progress, but when it's done, we'll have literally 2 versions of Hex up and running. So it's pretty exciting times for people that are coming in now. This is a one-time event. If you hold Hex now, you're going to get double your Hex when the PulseChain launches. So it's a pretty big event, really, just from that point of view. That's my monologue.
I think I agree with what you're saying. I think a lot of people are thinking that there is some sort of play to be made. I can't help but think that you can just sit back and in the knowledge that you're just going to get a copy of all your Hex and your liquid Hex and your Hex stakes on the other side. That is by far, if you just want to, do the fork version of the sack and chill, the fork version of that is just have your liquid Hex and have your staked Hex and you can chill. You're going to get that on the other side. You don't necessarily have to be playing some game or whatever. You might want to have a little bit of spare, bit of dry powder on the side, just in case an opportunity comes up. But you don't have to be stressing out about it, I don't think.
It's actually a beautiful opportunity for us to be diversified, across a few things rather than having all the eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Yeah, so we get to diversify now across our own ecosystems now, don't we?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is, you can't underestimate that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, what are your thoughts on, and this question was in the chat, so long-term EHEX end stake fees, do you think it'll be something that we'll be able to do? Or do you think it'll be crazy? Or do you think the new Ethereum 2.0 will come over between now and say 10 years?
Okay, so you've seen what Hex can do. Like we looked at Hex Calc, even on the conservative figure we put in there of 50 cents in 3 years, if you had to come and end a stake in 3 years, and let's assume the Ethereum Foundation sat on their ass for 3 years and haven't improved the transactions on their network, you're still going to be
highly probable.
Oh, highly likely given the current rate. But let's say nothing happens, and understand Pulse is going to take load off of Ethereum. So it should hopefully will have enough of an impact to reduce how full the blocks are on Ethereum. But let's just say none of that happens. We still get great price appreciation on Hex. Even if you have to pay a significant amount of fees to end your stake, I still think you're going to be in front. I've got stakes that I done ages ago, and they were like, when I was testing it out, like 100 Hex or something like that, which the price of Hex in terms of price appreciation has kept up so that I could still end those now and I wouldn't be out of pocket much. Like that's how much the price has appreciated in Hex. So fees have gone through the roof, and it's still outpacing them. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue.
There was also a question much earlier. One guy asked about those 15-year Ethereum Hex stakes and whether we'll be able to. And there have been some updates.
How far back? Do you know how far back it was?
It was really early on. Some really early on a comment.
Shout out to Joe Hexotic as well. How you going, Joe?
Hi, Joe.
Enjoyed your streaming with Wales Only today. That was great. Well, for you it was yesterday. Stepped in for RG3 where he was out and about. So how far back are we talking?
It's someone's show. It's someone's show. SCHO. It was around the time when I was. It was after the time. Oh, maybe.
Is it this one? What's your thoughts on 10 to 15 hex theory of stakes not being plausible as the gas fees will be insane when ending the stake? The gas fees might very well be. It really depends on what happens with. Like if they can like implement something, they might be able to lower the S load prices again.
I think at the moment it still works. I don't think it was a definitive calc on that. I think it still works now, but if it gets increased, if they go silly and increase it like they have been, then it's a risk. But you would like to think things have been worked out well and truly by then. That's a long way down the track.
They've been talking about scalability. Like, you know, we're talking 10 years from now. We're talking seriously 10 years from now. Yeah. There's going to be some sort of scalability solution for Ethereum by then. But look, we are getting a copy on the Pulse side. So you're going to have both. You're going to have both. Like you're going to have the luxury of having both. And then, you know, if you've done it, what you have to bear in mind also is that whatever you've staked for 10 years is going to be quite a big chunk of Hex by then. So, you know, you might pay an insane gas fee. But you would also, if you're paying an insane gas fee, you'll probably also be paying, have an insane, like, you know, pot of treasure on the you know, that's coming out, getting minted.
Yeah. I would think it'd be pretty safe to say any hexagons that have had stakes more than a year at this point, whilst they'll have to take that hit on the fee, I don't think any of them would mind paying it, unless you've done micro stakes. If you've been one of those people that have done micro stakes back in the day, I think most people would be happy with what's happened. And they don't like paying the fees, but it's not like you can't end your stakes and be in a good position.
Super chat $4.99. What do you guys think about one entity holding 90% of PulseChain tokens? Should they burn this token and not be allowed to delegate? Anyone?
No, I think Well, I think
there's two questions there. The first one is,
well, I think
what do we
three,
think
isn't
of?
there?
Yeah,
There's three
what do we
questions.
think of? Yeah, what do we think of one entity holding 90%? I think that's like it. It didn't come from one address, right? It didn't come from one address, but
we can assume it was probably one entity.
Yep.
It's an assumption, though. It's an assumption. We don't know for sure that that's the case. If you do make that assumption, it is just an assumption that it's 90%.
Yeah. So I think the simple question is, how's it worked out for Hex?
Look, it's the same. It's pretty simple. It's the same trick. It's a parlor trick. It's a parlor trick to get basically the market cap up really, really high. And so that's how all of these different cryptos are measured. They're measured by market cap because that's how all the index sites list them. And so it's a parlor trick to get a high market cap. And it gives Richard one amazing, well, it probably gives him a number of amazing abilities, but it gives him like this superpower of being able to nuke, destroy what he's created. So it's like, in terms of that, it's probably not going to be used, and it's not that great a power to have. Like it's an
unusable power. Yeah.
Well, let's look at how that, like that entity. You say, Richard. I don't know. I don't think we can 100%.
I wouldn't make the assumption it is just Richard either.
I wouldn't make that assumption. I think there could be some sort of blind trust structure, underlying. But anyway, that's a totally different discussion, not what we're talking about.
It's an unknowable thing. So
we don't know. But let's just look back at what we do know, and let's look at, if we are to take that assumption and look at Hex and what has happened in Hex with that entity or group of people or whatever, having that large amount of supply. What does that meant for Hex? I think it's meant that Hex has had a lot of stability and upward price action. If you look back,
you see a lot of projects fail in their early years if there's rogue holders that hold a potentially large amount and they're not all on the same page, or you get constant dumping pressure because you don't know who all those actors are. I've seen it play out in a few projects where they done their distribution in a different way, where they put it out there for everyone to come and grab, but if you had to be in early, you had to literally be in the first couple of days to be able to grab those huge bags really cheap, and that's not a good thing. What we've got in Hex and what we'll end up with in Pulse is a sustained long-term distribution of the tokens across the network. So they'll slowly change hands in a controlled manner. That's essentially what the OA does in Hex. And
do you guys think he will use them to delegate, or do you think he'll just let them sit somewhere?
I think they'll only get used if and when they need to be used.
I think we're going to find out.
Yeah. Well, the reality is no one knows. But if if you have people spin up validators and they're good operators, you're not a guy sitting in his shed with a laptop, and you get good quality validators, then you'll probably find that if they need, so as a community, you would like to think all our Pulse holders will go and stake with these validators and get to pick our own validators, and these coins can just sit dormant. However, if they need to step in because there's an issue, they can come in and right the ship. It's very much, like you say, it's the same play. It's that ballast at the bottom of a ship just to stabilize it.
I agree with that statement, Jex.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much. There's more positive that can be done than the one negative, impossible thing that, well, not impossible. The one negative thing that is most unlikely to happen, which is what you mentioned. Everyone around the world's got nuclear bombs, but no one's going to use them because as soon as one person uses them,
this is right on the money. This one right here. De Beers controlled 85% of the supply of diamonds and acted to add value to their holding. It's a standard with Rolex. Why is this even a concern? Yeah, I'm not concerned about it whatsoever. I think it's good. I think it's good from what I've seen in the last 2 years, man. From what I've seen and how it's affected, my situation. I'm quite.
So
happy with that.
my position on it is, if you could take the awesome exponential gains that crypto offer, but pair it up with a really astute business operator that knows how to run a business, you have the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
and that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, and marketing expert.
Marketing expert. So someone that can build a business, but believes in you being able to control your own money, and believes in the decentralized aspect of the permissionless aspect of crypto. That's a couple of big ticks for me. So will anyone else be running validators?
I'm going to be running a node. I'll definitely run a node.
Is there anywhere in Australia where we can get the good enough internet to run a validator?
You'd be running it in data centers. You wouldn't do. I think you wouldn't. You'd be half-assing it if you do that from your home or something like that. I wouldn't even attempt it.
No.
No, you've got to have proper redundancies and stuff. So I think it is going to be expensive, more expensive than what most people realise to run a good validator, to one that I would go and stake with and back. And what it's to get to run an instance on Amazon or the myriad of other cloud hosts, the virtual server hosts, the processor, RAM side of things is really cheap. Where it gets expensive is disk, and this is disk intensive, because you've got to have literally hundreds of gigs of space there, and that's what they'll sting you for, is the cost of that.
Is there a security danger to having it on AWS?
I reckon half of blockchains run on AWS, I reckon.
Yeah, is that a security danger?
Only if AWS decides to shut everything down, but then you just switch, go somewhere else. I think you'd be surprised how much of crypto is run on. Well, we've seen Infura, I think, had issues, and they were running on AWS.
You wouldn't run all of them on one provider.
No, that's right. You spread them out. I think you'd be surprised how many do, but you wouldn't. You shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah. And there's plenty of options out there for that.
Have we got servers here in Australia?
Oh, hell yeah. Someone you work with has a big data center.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that's not an issue.
Yeah. So I've been playing around in the last few days with, and this might interest some of the people in the chat. If you use Staker at all, you'll know how fantastic it is. It's really it is the premier experience, really, in my opinion, as far as just having something on your phone and being able to just do everything from your phone, and it just work, and it really works very, very well. So one concern I've had about Staker from the beginning, and something that I'm really glad that I've been able to figure out and resolve in my mind, and it sets me at ease, and it makes me think that it gives me much more confidence than I had before, just because I went through this process in the last week, and that is to actually take the seed phrase that was given to me with my Staker wallet and put that into a Trezor, and then go use that with the Gnosis safe. So basically interact with with Hex and the Hex contract independently of the Staker app. Now, I'm not saying that people should do this. Actually, I would probably advise people not to do it, because you really need to know what you're doing. Okay. What I'm saying is that being able to do that, independently of the Staker app, just gives me a lot of confidence in the product that they're putting forward. What it means to me is that, if anything was ever to happen with that product, I would still be able to interact and do everything that I needed to do. So, I'm really, really happy with Staker, and I think it's a fantastic product, and good job, Steph and Firebun on that.
So, Dave 43 is a bit of a nerd. He loves tinkering with the security stuff, but he's out there when he's doing it. It's great because I don't always get time to do that sort of stuff, and I'm sure most other people don't. So it's good to have people in the community that do stress test things and make sure how they work under the hood, and how you can migrate if you need to, because I think that's really important. You need to be able to look after these things yourself. So yeah, I appreciate the work you're doing, mate. You saved me many hours of having to try it. So thank you.
No worries, mate. Yeah. So
also, Stephen McCletchy asked another question, I think, while you were talking, that we just missed, which is a kind of interesting one.
Isn't the staking interest on Pulse going to be minuscule, as the fees will be next to nothing? Isn't Pulse just a speculation play? Well, can I just say that that could be correct, right? That might be right. But I think what's interesting, that what's come out of tonight, and that tweet that we were looking at, that Blue Bomb brought up, is the liquidity side of things with the ERC PRC 20 pairs. So even if the interest on Pulse is small, I think there's going to be other opportunities in the Pulse ecosystem to get yield.
Does anyone know about the percentage of yield from delegating?
I don't think it's known at the moment, and I think it'll be, if it's like other validators, I think it's selective, so the validator can choose how much they pass back on to delegators. But how much the validators are going to get, well, I guess we know it's going to be 25% of the that was right, wasn't it? It was 25% of the fee would get burnt.
75%. They get 5%, 25% is burnt.
Yeah, so 25% is burnt. Yeah, so 25% is burnt, and 75% goes to the validator. What they choose to do with that is up to them, or how they choose to divvy that up.
I think they'd be competitive in trying to attract people to them, and so that percentage that they offer will probably be competitive amongst the validators to get.
Yeah, that's right. Now, the thing that will determine
as much as Hex, like Stephen's right,
no way will it. Yeah,
it's a different thing as well, because it's a deflationary coin. And so the more the network gets used, you would imagine, and then the more fees that are burnt, then the less coins there are, and the more people that are using it. So you'd imagine the price goes up, and so it's a different value proposition to Hex. Yeah,
and the reality is we don't know all the nitty gritty, the mechanics of how this is all going to work, and it depends how busy the network gets as to how many transactions. I mean, if you've got empty blocks, then you're not going to.
It'll be great to have eHex, pHex, and Pulse.
It's a good blend. Yeah,
Staker app. We see them all on Staker app.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
that's the plan.
I think so. Yeah, I think I think that's all going to be sorted for Staker app. Hey guys in the chat, make sure you hit the like in YouTube, and so we get a few of those thumbs up, because we've got 169 people watching. I'd love to get the likes up at least over 100. Come on.
I should probably like it as well then, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you guys, I'm going to like it as well. Let me just go and like it. Just between us four, we should get it over 100.
Yeah, we got it. There we go.
Should we keep answering these questions? There's a few more there now. Or if you...
Okay. If you guys put yourselves in the shoes of projects that want to try and move or build in PulseChain, how would you feel about 95% side of dominance?
You know how I'd feel? Can I say how I'd feel?
Confident.
I'd feel like, holy shit, I'm getting... I own all of these tokens on the Ethereum side. I'm getting them all duplicated. So I'm getting this massive number. It's going to be worthwhile of PRC20 tokens. It's going to be worthwhile for me to encourage my users to use that chain so that those PRC20s that I've just been given for free will be worth something.
Mm.
And you are talking about they're talking about the substrate, right?
Yeah.
If you've got a token, that's what's built on top of the substrate. So, if you go and build your front end for it, and then people who own your token can actually jump over there and use it and have this extra value that you've created for them because you've made this front end, then you guys are actually going to create the value on the Pulse chain for your own token.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what they're driving at is, and it comes back to this same thing, and it is never going to happen. Because if you brought your project across, or it gets brought across, and users get on it, what's the worst thing that someone could do with those tokens? Or they could nuke the project. And we get back to who would do that? Like, who in their right mind is going to blow this thing up just because of why? Like, it's one of those things that I just don't see happening. Like, it's so far from reality. But Binance could blow up their own network. Do they do it? No. Like, it's
no. And with Ethereum, you don't make a project on Ethereum and then go, oh shit, there's a lot of centralized ownership in Ethereum that might stuff my project somehow or something.
It's just a substrate. It's just the tracks.
Yeah.
It's just
I think I don't think people realize how many pools process the total number of transactions on, or the bulk of transactions or blocks on Ethereum. It's like 3 pools. And if you don't think there's shit going on in the background in back channels doing deals with people for miner extracted value and things like that,
exactly,
you're sadly mistaken. If you think that all this bloody 10,000 nodes stops all that collusion and all the bullshit going on, you're totally wrong.
This is what Pulse is an opportunity for someone who's got a token, or you've built something on Ethereum. This is an opportunity for you to give your users some free value, right? If you build on the Pulse side, then they're going to get something that they can interact with on the Pulse side. And that's going to make it attractive to other people. People will come in and speculate, and it's going to be something that can derive value. If you do nothing, you're going to get nothing, right? You do nothing, you get nothing. You put in some work and maybe do something for your users. And look, let's be honest. If you've already got stuff that's built out on Ethereum, and you just need to build a front end for Pulse, come on, don't tell me that is some crazy difficult thing to do. That is not crazy difficult to build a front end.
Also consider, if you have something successful on Ethereum and you don't do something about it on Pulse, other people will, other teams will. So either you jump on board and you roll with it. That's exactly what happened with PancakeSwap, a whole new network. And I'm assuming the Uniswap guys could have ported across if they chose to. But PancakeSwap slipped in there and done it themselves. So if the original teams don't step up, there'll be other people that will launch either the same code or very similar code, and there'll be there's what's that?
I'm gonna love it if he.
We've lost you there, mate.
You're a robot, Blue Bell.
That was a good frame to freeze on. I've lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and You back, Bluey? So, and I keep...
Hey, Blue Bum, turn off your camera, mate. Turn off your camera. Turn off your camera, Bluey, if you can.
Hang on, I'm going to...
Yeah, I can see you're on 1 red bar. So your connection is 0 out of 10 right now, mate. So, yeah. He's gone.
Yeah. So I'll keep going. I keep going back to Chainlink as an example of a project that's become pretty important on Ethereum. I'd probably argue too important in some instances. There's a lot of things that rely on Chainlink, and that is a point of failure on the ETH network, to be honest. But let's just say they don't come across onto Pulse. They choose not to support it. There's a raft of other projects that are doing Oracle work as well, and arguably more decentralized in their approach. If a Chainlink leaves that void there on Pulse, you bet those projects will step up and have a good crack at it. So what were you going to say, Bluey?
I can't remember.
I thought that was going to happen.
What was I saying?
I'm not sure.
You're excited about something. You're saying how excited you were about something's going to happen.
Just basically, if he does decide to airdrop the whole of the Binance state as well as the Ethereum state. And I was thinking then, well, why wouldn't you just airdrop the whole Matic state as well? And it's just kind of like Pulse will just be subsuming all of these ecosystems and just basically taking them to start off at, just by giving copies of everything to everybody. Like, it's such a brilliant move. Like, it's just automatic onboarding of like just tons and tons of users.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're actually building stuff. They're building stuff. They're going to build like good stuff that people can use. You know? And look, no expectations from the work of others, but they're looking for people to build stuff.
Yeah. I just want to quickly, I just want to take a quick detour because there's obviously a guy in chat and he's asking some questions about some of the mechanics and how Pulse is going to launch and is it going to get supported. And I think that's fine. And what I'd say is we're probably going to see all different rafts of opinions from various people in the industry on crypto Twitter and wherever. And we went through that with Hex. And the thing that was really surprised me the other day is one of the most vocal people on Twitter has been Eric. And he's pretty big in the Ethereum community, and he's been having a shot at Hex this is Eric Wall, having a shot at Hex for the last year and a half. And he was good enough to come into one of our private chats where it's probably some of more advanced users in Hex, and just bouncing questions and playing devil's advocate and slinging his bit of shit. But everyone was there was a good bit of dialogue going back and forth, a lot of trash talk as well, but a lot of good dialogue was there. And he was in the chat for about 2 or 3 days, and then someone asked him the question about T-shares and shares, and this guy does not even know how they work.
He didn't understand it at all.
Didn't know what they'd done in Hex. So this is a guy that's been hacking on Hex for 2 years or year and a half and hasn't even looked into it enough to understand what they do or how they work.
Yeah.
So, and that's an intelligent guy. Like, he's pretty intelligent in the space. He's running a hedge fund. He's good on the technical side. Hasn't even taken the time to actually understand how this shit works, but is willing to make comments about it. So when you're listening to people on Twitter, on YouTube, or whatever, understand that half of them are coming from a place of total ignorance when they're talking about Hex. So until if they can understand those mechanics and talk to those mechanics, great, listen to them. But if these guys haven't even taken the time to understand it, you shouldn't be paying attention to them because they don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah,
I thought
And
that
it-
was
it
very
would-
revealing when he asked that.
It
Yeah,
would be
I
nice
was-
for him
I
to
was
get a
actually-
good idea of about. It'd be
was
nice if he
shocked.
could actually get his
Yeah.
head around it and like fully comprehend.
Yeah,
You know,
I was literally shocked when he made that statement, because I just assumed that he looked into it. Couldn't
Did
believe
you
it.
guys watch Nerd Girl's stream about how Eric actually went to her for support in regards to the Hexagon community, basically
Sorry.
making aggressive threats towards
Sorry,
him?
did you
Say that again?
say that again?
Someone was making threats towards Eric.
Yeah. So, excuse me.
So can
Eric,
I just say one thing? I don't think anyone should be making threats to Eric. If you're a Hexagon, you're making threats to Eric. Stop. Okay.
Yeah.
That's shit.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just
Yeah.
bad. That's just you're not doing
Yeah.
a good thing.
Just to anyone.
That's not good.
He
We
is
don't need-
engaging
yeah.
with us. He is engaging with us, and he
needs
can
to
waste a
learn.
lot of people's time. But yeah, that's fine. At least he's doing it on a. I think he's, apart from some comments he's made about Richard, which were just his emotions, he does try and look at things from a technical point of view. Sorry, Sammy, what were you saying?
Look, I agree, Jex. He shouldn't say some of the things he's said, and he's basically asking for trouble the way he puts things sometimes. And being uneducated doesn't make him look very smart. However, he did go to Nerd Girl in regards to the shit he's copped from the Hexagons, and there was threats of violence towards him, and the aggression. And however, Nerd Girl basically said it was the same when she was in the Bitcoin community and you know the way they are, and when she was talking about Hex, she was very threatened and violated, and that's how he feels now. So he's come to her sort of for support. So she put a stream out, and a couple of Hexagons got their back up. But I mean, I love Richard Hart, and I've got his back 100%. I'd do anything for the guy, but I mean, I also don't agree that anyone should be threatening, on social media. It's not real tough. It's pretty cowardish to do it.
Yeah.
I think don't take it too seriously. Have a bit of fun with that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
like Sammy's a classic. If you want to see how someone has fun on Twitter, follow Sammy. He cracks me up.
Only get banned a little bit.
I don't know how you don't get banned more often, but yeah,
I know, right?
you know how to push the
The
limit.
other thing I want to point out about all of this like community kind of stuff is that it's really like it really depends on who you draw your attention to. Like let's say you have a couple of people who are just whatever, and they're just a bit abusive or they're whatever That doesn't mean just because you don't have to point those few people out and all of a sudden they represent the Hexagon community.
Yeah.
Like my experience of the Hex community is it being incredibly supportive and fun and an awesome community. And there's always going to be it's a whole lot of different people. You can't sort of nail it down to this is what the culture is. And especially not just pointing out a few people who are being
Well, they're soy boys, Louis. They're soy boys, mate, and they're
who are
getting
soy boys.
all these, Eric Walls and these wankers who want to carry on about how much they hate Richard Hart and how much he's a scammer. When who's being scammed? Like, point out one person. Is there actually one person? That's how stupid and comical it actually is, because no one's being scammed, and it's just getting tired. I'm tired of hearing this shit, and I'm tired of seeing them put Richard down. So I don't really care what anyone says. I'm going to say what I want to say.
Yeah, and so you should. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
and I'm not going to tell anyone how to behave. It's like no, everyone has responsibility for their own personal behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah. Although I would say if I see someone, if I do see someone, I'm just going to very quickly say, if I see someone doing something like that is unnecessarily aggressive, I'll call it out. Just that will be my behavior in response to it. But
what,
sorry,
if someone made an abusive tweet, you'd call it out?
No, not necessarily abusive, but if
That's
it's like
where all this is happening. We're not talking about
no,
real life people. We're just talking
no,
about people reading
I'm
shit
talking about
people.
something that's over the top, aggressive, like
I don't think you'd see it. I think they'd be all private messages. Like I've seen the hexagons behave pretty well, and they back up their arguments. They don't just sling shit. You know, they back themselves with sound knowledge and education about hex. You know, especially when you're dealing with people like Eric Wall, who's quite educated. He's a hedge fund manager. You know, he's a successful guy, but doesn't mean that he understands hex, and doesn't mean he's got a right to slag off Richard Hart, Pulse, and Hex. You know.
Hey, by the way, just while we're there, we have crossed the 17-cent mark there.
Nice.
Just while we've been on stream, that is nice. It is nice to be 17 cents. Like, can you believe that, guys? 17 cents.
Once we get above 17 cents, there's not a lot of pressure to stop us getting up to that 20-cent mark pretty quickly, I think.
In terms of liquidity.
Yeah, so just looking at buy orders, limit sell orders and things like that have been sitting there.
You go to the pools.
If you just have a look at
and check
just search for hex there, mate, and you'll up the top there, search for hex and go to the USDC pair down below. Yep,
that's it. And then
liquidity
on the right hand side, top right.
You're on volume at the moment. Just go to liquidity. Yep. Okay, when it gets there. So a couple of things we check on is we check on the liquidity. So we've got our nice big blanket there, our security blanket at 5 cents right at the very end. And then
so this is
security blanket.
What is it?
That's the security blanket. Yeah.
5.5 cents. 5.5 cents.
Yeah.
And there's but then it slopes off at this point here. There's a little bit of a blip here at 15.8, 16 cents. But then here, if once we get to this point here, which is 19 cents, it sort of just falls away, doesn't it?
Really thins out, yeah. And obviously some of that liquidity will shift across with the current price if it's getting matched. So this is one thing you look at, because this is the major pair. And then you can go across and check a few of the limit orders that are placed on various platforms as well. And there's not a great deal of sell pressure there. So just people just maybe cashing in small bits, but no major sell pressure. And you see that in the chart. There's
do you think that
candles there?
Do you think that on the PulseChain that the liquidity providers will pour all the liquidity into the Pulse PHEX pair or the PUSD
at just before the fork?
No, just after, or just during after. Like at the moment, like most of the liquidity was moved over to USDC, and Richard was saying move it out of ETH, put it into USDC, and some people weren't, some people weren't. Over on the PulseChain, do you think that he would prefer it to have it against Pulse rather than USDC?
I think you're going to have to. I don't know. I think we covered this a little bit last time, and I've got no idea what USDC is going to do. But I think the thing we know that will have a value, stable is the wrong word, but something that we can actually pin a value on will be Pulse, because it will be back on bridged across to ETH. So I think that will be the primary pair on Pulse initially. And you would want, from a performance perspective, you would want Pulse to be the major pair across most
as much
pools,
as possible.
most liquidity pools. Yeah. One, you don't know what the hell the stables are going to do, but two, it's great for Pulse to be attracting that value.
And locking up all of that Pulse in those pools.
Locking it up in the pools, and then if that's then allowed to get farmed and things like that, then that keeps it all locked. That's really good for it. So yeah, that's what I'd be expecting to see play out. And then maybe once a stable, I think the stable coin issuer that gets their shit together the quickest on there will probably, that'll stand them in good stead, I reckon.
Well, they won't have to do anything. Like the USDC, the people sitting over there at USDC coin, right? Their path of least resistance is going to be to do nothing, and so I think the PUSD will just exist.
I don't think. Yeah, it's, like Richard said, it's going to be a very interesting experiment because. So what do? Do they actively take coins out of circulation or block them or whatever they choose to do? I don't know how they do it until they get reserves up to meet the asset's value, like it should be, so that enough.
No. What they might do is just say that we're not going to redeem the PUSD.
Yeah,
but it could still be used as a stable coin.
Could probably could be. Yeah, I mean, people could just.
If people start using stable coin, it will be used as a stable coin unless they freeze it.
Yeah, I think the risk of it though is a bank run. So that would be the ultimate musical chairs, I think, is if so people would be too scared. Like even if it stays at $1 for a little while, there would always be that risk of it collapsing because everyone would know that there's nothing underpinning it. So I think it would be a really risky play to, like, imagine the counterparty risk you already have, and now you've just removed any sort of backing or legitimacy of it.
Didn't USDC in the last week announce that they are no longer going to hold like a 1-to-1 reserve?
I think that's always been the case for those guys. Their reserves
USDC.
aren't cash, so their reserves are not cash. No.
So they, up until this week, my understanding was that they held 1-to-1 reserve. It was USDT that didn't, but USDC this week announced that they are not holding 1-to-1 reserves.
You check what their assets were, and it wasn't cash.
Okay, I need to reread.
Pax is the only one. Pax is the only one. I think it's 95%.
Pax, never heard of that.
Yeah, that's what BUSD is. Runs on the Pax network, Paxos.
You can make your own stable coin with that one.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to actually find out about that, there's a great video on Coin Bureau's channel about stable coins. And he goes through the three majors, so the Paxos, the USDT, and USDC, and the information he's got in there is awesome. It's really worth watching.
One that's really confused me because he has not mentioned anything about Hex or Pulse.
Yeah, don't know.
It's totally confused me, like because he seems to have such good information, and they do so much research, and it's obviously a team behind that channel.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Like that is in terms of why would shilling to quality. He is probably one of the better channels. That is probably one of the better channels.
But it's like he hasn't. It's so weird that he hasn't mentioned Hex or Pulse. It's so weird. It's bizarre.
I don't know if anyone's actively out there trying to engage with him. I find it's really, really hard to get through to these guys
and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're an influencer, you got every man and his dog saying, "Check out this one, check out this one." So I don't even know if I'd read.
It's been that long now, and it's done so well, and that for him not looked at it, not even looked at it. You know what I mean? Let alone Pulse, which is just going to be this free airdrop to a whole lot of his people that he hasn't even told them about it. It's really weird. I'd like that. What's going on? A bit of flirting going in chat.
Yeah. I don't know People have nothing better to do with their time sometimes. Don't know. So you reckon if we stay on here long enough, we can get an all-time high?
Well, how much are we at now?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, just about 17. So like I said, there was a bit of headway at 17.
16.92.
Yeah.
Oh,
so there was a few limit orders at 17, and that's why you see like we just keep inching up against that 17 barrier. So it's good. That's sensible people that are choosing to take a little bit of cream off the top, and they're not market selling things. They're just sitting there letting the market catch up and fill an order, and then once that order gets filled, doesn't hurt the price, and then you break through that barrier and off you go.
There was something that Sammy, you sent through to us about an PA job in Melbourne. Can you tell us? Can you tell us about this? What's this about? Collective shift.
Yes,
What's going on here?
I was just having a geezer at the jobs today, and I popped on this ad on Seek, and I looked at the top, and I thought, oh my god, that's collective shift, and that's actually in Melbourne, which is around in Brunswick, about half an hour drive from where I live. And I thought, oh my goodness, collective shift. That's Alex Saunders' collaboration, isn't it? Wasn't he partnered?
Well, they've taken great roads to make sure they're very distant from him recently. But yeah, he was a big part of collective shift. Yeah.
But you know what? If they've already done business with him, they're basically already that's just a fail for me. I'm like, I'm not going near that.
So what's the
flags?
What's the
so you're not applying, Sammy?
No way. No way am I applying. I wouldn't work for anyone related to saunas. Anyway, I'd earn more with my Hex daily, way more, like double, triple what they're going to pay me a day. So it's not on.
No.
Yeah, so that'd be a pretty tough job to walk into, I would think, after what's just gone down. They didn't have that in the job description, did they?
Nah, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Have to answer thousands of phone calls asking where our money is.
But did you read the article? There's a Kiwi that's suing Alex for $500,000 in the Melbourne Supreme Court, and that's the first
really?
part. So
that's,
you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's going to be the first of many, I think.
Investment officer.
Yeah, taking Alex Saunders, Mr. Pickle Master, to the cleaners. And rightfully
so. Yeah, and so what's interesting is we've been putting up with a lot of shit in Hex for a while, and then you've got Alex, who has actively been taking pot shots at the community from the start, and we've tried to, as Aussies, we've sort of tried to tell him, maybe he needs to have a bit of a second look and reconsider things, and that was always met with roadblocks, and turns out he's probably one of the biggest scammers that's been going around in the industry for the last year or so. So this is a further thing that you've spoken about. So he had he was launching his stablecoin project, and he's taken funds for that. He's outright just asked people for funds because he's had a problem and he's been losing money. And this new one that's just popped up that Sammy's talking about is an NFT project where he's taken funds for people and then engaged some developers to create some virtual land in Decentraland. So they've gone and done the work. He's failed to pay those guys, so they're out of pocket, and we're doing it sort of based on his relationship and his respect in the industry. So they're out of pocket. These guys that they've raised all the money off of for the NFTs to fund this project are all out of profit. So each week we keep hearing about it. Another one of these little scams, or not scams is not the right word. He's basically been fraudulent in the way he's been getting money off of people. So, and this guy has been actively hammering Richard, calling Richard a scammer, and it just goes to show that the way these goes back to what I was saying about the YouTubers like Eric Wall on Twitter and YouTubers. don't listen to these guys because half of them are full of shit and half of them are doing the crookedest shit in the background whilst telling you the other thing.
Well, look, we've been listening to absolute morons come into chats, talk about Hex without having any idea about it. We've been listening to these people for how long? 19, 20 months now? From the get-go. Go watch the law review that was done. Richard Hart against 2 lawyers and Tone Vase. Go watch that.
Yep.
He absolutely tears them apart, right? Because people don't know what they're talking about. People talk about Hex, talk shit about Hex. They don't know what they're talking about because you haven't done the research. You're ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about. That's the problem. People talk about Hex, but they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea. They talk shit about it, but they have no idea. So I suggest you go learn about it. Go to hex.com/tech specs and read about it. Learn about like the similarities and differences between Bitcoin and Hex. Like understand what it's about. So, before you come talking crap, you should go learn about it. Really, you should just go learn about it instead of being an ignorant person.
Are you talking to the troll, Day 43 in the chat?
No, I'm just talking in general.
Oh, okay.
I'm just talking in general.
But I am talking to the troll. SP, you're here as a guest in our room, mate. We can piss you off at any time. So talk all the shit you want, but you're in here because we're letting you be in here. Hopefully you might learn something.
It's the same one. You realise that goes on all the DS streams, and he's a little coward.
Who's got that much time to waste on shit like this? Yeah.
Hey, what a loser. You're a loser.
But yeah, hang around. You might learn something.
Anyway, Ghost, guys, Ghost. I'm talking generally, in general.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was talking specifically because he was being
in a year and a half, we've just had so many people, talking crap about Hex. And as has been demonstrated time and time again, people don't know. They don't understand it. They do not understand it. Like, if you really understand what crypto is supposed to be about, you couldn't get anything more crypto than Hex. You can't get something like that. You don't have to rely on anyone for it. Like, you can just interact with this contract. You do the work yourself. There's no one else is involved in the process. Like that is the essence of what crypto is supposed to be about. It's just you guys haven't, you haven't learnt yet. You don't know. You're still ignorant. Go learn, man. You'll learn. You'll get better as a person by learning about this stuff. You'll start to dig. You'll go down the rabbit hole and start learning about what, decentralized finance really is about. Anyway. Yeah. So, how we going, guys? We've been going for a couple of hours now.
Well, I think we're going to get kicked off in about 5 minutes. We've got to make a bit of room, don't we?
No, they actually come on at midnight in about half an hour. But we've done pretty.
There's a bit of a love affair going on in chat, from what I can gather.
There's a lot of love flying around.
There's a lot of love flying around.
I'm so far back in the chat. What's going on?
Well, Cabana and Motley having a little.
Look, and I'm sure most people know about Cabana's channel as well. Make sure you go and watch that. The quality of information on there is awesome. So yeah, check out that channel whenever you can.
What I've been noticing recently, there's a couple of Pulse specific channels popping up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah, people who are just interested in Pulse.
Yep.
Show them, Louis. What are they? Whose are they?
Let me see if I can find. Just give me 2 secs. Let me see if I can find them. There's these 2 guys.
So are they Hex guys or they're?
Oh no, they're Pulse people.
Yep. So new to the community.
Yeah,
I have actually.
Look, one of them was saying he doesn't even have any Hex, and he's just going in for Pulse. I can't find it now. It's these two guys. If you hang on, I'll get that.
So while you're looking for that, also a shout out to Motley, who's seen him on a watch channel. I think it was. He was doing a bit of community outreach by the looks of it, and talking all things watches the other day with all the high end watch guys. I had absolutely no clue what they were talking about, but it was good to see him on there, mixing up the different communities and jumping between different communities. And I really understand why Richard has all that stuff in the background and what he's trying to do. I can tell you now, I see ads pop up for bloody Louis Vuitton stuff, and I've never even searched for it. So somehow the algorithm picks up on things like that, and it starts putting ads for that stuff in your stream. So you can imagine it does the same for people that have an interest in Louis Vuitton. They might start getting a few Hex things pop up in their stream. So very clever. Richard's going to go on there. Cool. Awesome.
Oh, is Richard doing it live?
No. So the channel that Motley was on, sounds like Richard might jump on there.
Watch one or whatever, the watch one.
Yeah.
So I've just put in the
cool.
chat. I don't know if it came up in the chat or not. I'm not seeing
Crypto
it.
Jumpstart, Louis.
Yeah, Jumpstart.
Yeah,
So there's just these two guys, and it's just early days, but it's just interesting now that I guess PulseChain is having this whole little ecosystem, people who are just into Pulse and who, I don't know. It's interesting. It's like we kind of assume it's all hexagons, but I think there's going to be this whole other. I mean, there's so many other people who've joined the Pulse chat. It's like interesting to see if people just invest in PulseChain and not Hex.
What are we sitting on in the Pulse chat? How many people? Do we know?
just under 40. Is it 40,000?
No, not up there yet. It's near there. It's like 37 something. And then I'll find out. 37.65.
How much?
37,065.
Yeah, so we seem to have sort of stabilised around, like it's quieting down a little bit. Obviously, there was a lot.
It's slow. It's still
going on with Pulse launch.
It's
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah.
It's slowed down a bit, but it's still kind of like getting people every day joining.
When it launches, it will pick up again.
That's right. Yeah. So we went through a peak phase where there was a lot of excitement around the sacrifice phase and a lot of people visiting to understand what it's all about. And let's face it, we probably spend more time in Telegram and on Twitter than most communities, I would imagine. We've got a pretty big presence in those groups, so people will come in and check into those groups as and when they need. So once we move to the launch phase, I'm sure that'll pick up again. And get ready for the onslaught when everyone wants to start getting their free PRC20s.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of people coming into those chat rooms for sure.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, look, unless you guys have anything else you want to mention, I think we might wind it up. We've been on for 2 hours. I think almost coming up on 2 hours. So I think we'll just let it tick over so we get that nice 2. But where can we find everyone? Sammy, Twitter?
Yeah, at Sammy Chica on Twitter. Follow me for some fun and games. You won't be disappointed.
I'm Day43OG on Twitter. Jexa?
Yeah, Jexa J in Telegram and on Twitter.
And just search for Blue Bum. You'll find me.
Yep. And we're here every Tuesday night Aussie time.
Yeah.
So make sure you come back and we've usually got a few more guests popping in. We'd like to get a few of the other members of the community on from time to time, and we have a couple of other regulars that weren't here tonight in Unwrecked and Tangent, but usually they'll
Unwrecked. Unfortunately, Unwrecked had to plough a field, so he couldn't make it.
Okay. Actually, and if there are people like SP who want to debate anything like live, like in a live stream, just hit me up with a message, and we can do a sly live stream debate if you want to do anything like that. You
don't have to hide in the chat. Feel free to come on if you want to have a chat.
It all, and bring out these ideas to see if what kind of rigor they have, and.
You actually did a live stream with a Bitcoin maximalist. And he came on stream, and look, he didn't want to show his face, so he wore a trash can on his head.
Which was novel. It was novel.
I am not joking. People in the chat probably think I'm joking. I'm not fucking joking. The Bitcoin maximalist put a fucking trash can on his head, man, for the whole interview.
It wasn't a trash can; it was a bucket.
Okay.
And it was a very well designed bucket, I've got to say.
It had eye holes cut out, and it was a very attractive bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy. And you know what?
No, he was actually.
And we're not friends, but we're definitely kind of friendly towards each other now, like on Twitter and stuff. Like, it's just, and we still disagreed with each other by the end of it. But it was a conversation, you know what I mean? And just have a conversation. It doesn't need to be the,
Yeah. I like this comment.
Each other. It's just having
There's always a turn off the camera button.
I think we're an hour into the stream before we suggested he should do that.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was one of the more entertaining ones we've done. But it was, apart from the bucket on his head, it was actually a pretty reasonable conversation. And it was good to flesh out, because he was a pure BTC maxi, so it was good to flesh out some of the differences and realize that there's probably not as many as what they'd like to think.
And just where the sticking points are as well.
That's right. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
once again, thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Also,
we're going to wind
up. I think I'm probably be going on with Jenkins again on Friday, or our time Friday noon, which I think is Thursday night in America.
Yep, that was good. That Jenkins thing. I hope you guys do that as a regular.
Yeah, we're going to try to. Jenkins is amazing. His TA is awesome, hey.
Yeah, you guys have some really good chemistry. Just with your, playing off each other. You looking after the chat and him just working on the TA. I really like it. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, guys.
Cool.
See you next week.
See you guys.